Hello Retro Gamers and welcome to another episode of Massive Damage, and it's the 4th episode already. And today we're going to discuss the Final Fantasy Legend 2. Yes, we've already discussed the Final Fantasy Legend 1. And do you need to play this game in order to enjoy the Final Fantasy Legend 2? Well, I've got good news for you, lad, because you don't. And I must say that if you have to choose between the two, get the Final Fantasy Legend 2, because it's a lot better. It has an upgraded system, it has more cutscenes, it has more story, it has a larger world that you can explore, and it's just great all around. So let's start off with the story. Final Fantasy Legend 2 starts off with you being the only child of Indiana Jones. Yes, the Indiana Jones. And good old Indy is out and about trying to collect relics called Magi. So he jumps out of the window, but before he does so, he leaves you with a single shot of Magi called Prism, which allows you to see if there are any Magi relics left in the world that you are currently visiting. So after a couple of years, you've grown up, your dad hasn't returned, and you tell your mom you want to leave and find your dad, and quite weirdly, she actually agrees with you and sends you off on a quest to find your dad and to recover all the pieces of Magi, just like that. So you trot off to school when you want to say goodbye to your teacher, and your teacher asks you about the creation of the world you live in. And apparently there used to be a large statue of the goddess Isis that provided people with godlike powers, but somehow it got shattered and broke into 77 pieces, and those pieces were called Magi. And lately there have been people that found these pieces and found out that they have been granted a very special ability. There are people out there that try to abuse those abilities and try to gather the Magi in order to gain more power in their world. And your dad, good old Indy, is about to stop those people. But before you leave, your friends want to go with you, and that's the time where you can create your own friends and make a party that you will use across the game in order to enjoy the Final Fantasy Legend 2. Now, across your quest, you will be venturing into many different kinds of worlds, just like the previous game, but it's all a bit more open. People are familiar that there are different worlds, and the people that have grasped the Magi to use for gaining power also know this fact. So now you are fighting against enemies that are familiar with the multiverse that has been surrounding you all the time. And there are times where you have to backtrack in order to clear a puzzle that they created for you to hinder you. So, a long story short, you go out and try to find the 77 pieces of Magi in order to prevent the other people from doing bad stuff with it. I've managed to play it through to the Giants world, if some of you have played the game. And I thought, well, these are some cool items, but they are really expensive. So I thought, well, let's do something sneaky. And I got my big box of hacks and I found an action replay for the Game Boy. And I thought, well, this might be an easy way out. I'll just plug it in and put it in my Game Boy. I entered a cheat for unlimited money and I thought this would be a great idea. But then disaster struck. My save game was deleted. It was completely blank. There wasn't anything on this cartridge anymore. It was all gone. So 3 hours worth of playing this game all down the gutter. It was a good thing I had footage of it, but boy did that suck. So yeah, I had to give up on going further into the story. And I'm sorry if I can't offer you any footage later in the game, but consider this a way to whet your appetite, and also a warning. Do not use a pro action replay if you really want to save your game and if you really do not want to lose your progress. So cheaters, be warned. One final thing I would like to discuss about this game is the fact that it has a remake. Yes, apparently people love to remake these games, and I understand why, because they are very nice story-wise. They are very nice in a world-building kind of way. They are rather immersive, even for a small Game Boy game, so to say. So they remade this for the Nintendo DS, and it only got a Japanese release, and it was only released in Japanese. So you could import the game, but it wouldn't do much for you if you didn't read Japanese. but boy does it look gorgeous. As you can see here, I've put the intro of the Final Fantasy Legend 2 on the Game Boy and the Nintendo DS Remake intro side by side, and you have to agree it looks amazing. But that's not the only thing that changed. They changed the weapons, they changed the menu, they changed the way the battles work. They basically created an entire new game with the same story, which is basically what a remake is. But it's wonderful, and I managed to play it using a translation patch. Now, of course, this is again a grey area, but since this will never get released on the Nintendo DS anymore, I think it's okay to get away with it. But boy, man, this is a wonderful game. It has so much depth in it. It adds so much to the original game that basically I'm inclined to play the remake instead of this little card, especially after the Pro Action Replay fiasco. They also tweaked the battles a bit in the remake, but look at it. It's just wonderful. And if you can get your hands on it, if you can get it to play on actual hardware, try it, it's worth it. It's one of the best games I've played on the Nintendo DS. Well, that's it. That's the Massive Damage number 4 done and closed with. The next episode for Massive Damage, I'm not really sure on what game I'm going to review. I'm not going to say anything because I would like to keep my options open. But until then, I hope to see you again, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any feedback, please leave a video response, because those are really awesome. But if you are too shy or you don't want to, then feel free to leave a comment below and tell me how awesome this episode was. I thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time, and have a nice day.